We are entering into the second major stage, that is from 632 to 732 AD. This is the period when the church began to lose territory. The church has gained a lot of territory until then. Now they begin to lose a part of the territory. The Eastern Empire had peace for a while because the barbarian attack mainly affected the Western Europe, the Western Roman Empire. The East was able to resist it, and the barbarians, though tried, they withdrew. However, some 50 years after the Western Empire fell, the Eastern Empire started having troubles. These troubles mainly came from Germany. For example, the tribes from Germany, they just crossed into the Eastern Empire from the north. And these German tribes were successfully resisted by the Eastern Empire. However, another 50 years passed peacefully, but the Persians began to attack the empire. In a terrible battle in Nineveh, 720 AD, the Persian army was totally annihilated by Emperor Heraclius. So that victory lasted for a while. So frequently different neighboring countries begin to attack the Roman Empire. The Western Roman Empire is gone completely. Basically they are defeated and they are gone. The Eastern Empire withstood all these attacks. But how long? That was a question, The Western Empire was destroyed by German tribes, but after some 100 years, the attack again came from the Indo-Aryan people, who basically occupied Germany. Eastern Empire resisted them and escaped definitely with great difficulty. The power of the Eastern Empire began to slowly come down. The enemies were many. The defendant was just one. So that became a problem. Around 570, Muhammad was born. He was a descendant of Ishmael. He was born in Mecca of Arabia. He began his life as a shepherd boy, later became a businessman, and he traveled to many countries, especially in those Middle Eastern areas. He came in contact with the Jew and Christians. Some of their ideas influenced him. He listened to some of the Christian and Jewish readings, their teachings. He liked, some of those ideas, but he never accepted them fully. But he wanted to retire from his business, and he wanted to go into meditation and, more of a spiritual life. There he claimed to have the angel Gabriel appear to him. The result of this appearance was the birth of Islam. The teachings of Muhammad were later collected and formed into a book called the Quran, which the Muslims revere as the incorruptible word of Allah. The followers of Islam are called the Muslims. Their basic teaching is Allah is great and Muhammad is his prophet. That's what they basically say. Allah is the true God and Muhammad is his true prophet. He went back to Mecca, his own place, and tried to influence the people there, but they rejected his teaching and actually persecuted him. So he ran away from Mecca to Medina. It took about a month to reach there. So as a memorial for that one, they are fasting for 30 days and all, even today. The opposition became strong, and Muhammad, with a few followers, he was able to escape to Medina in 622. This flight the Muslims called Hegira, H-E-G-I-R-A, Hegira. The people of Medina accepted Muhammad and his teachings. With the help of his converts, in 10 years' time, he, basically made himself the master of Arabia. It's amazing how in such a short time of 10 years, this Muhammad was able to basically be the leader of the whole Arabia. The Arabians were many nomadic tribes. They all had their own gods. They had their own gods. And Allah was the God of the tribe of Muhammad. So he wanted to destroy all the other gods and goddesses, and he wanted only his God to be the true God. So he was able to make it. What a successful man he was. Muhammad died in 632, but his influence was great. In the next 100 years, his followers conquered Persia, all Arabia, and they penetrated to India. They overran the imperial provinces of Asia Minor, twice besieged Constantinople, but they could not keep it. Took away provinces of Syria, Palestine, Egypt, and North Africa. You think of that, what a great success. Whatever we say wrong about Muhammad, one thing is true, he was a great leader. He can organize people and he can inspire people for a cause, whether the cause is good or bad. He was able to. So in a short time of 10 years, from Makkah he ran away. Just a handful of followers with him. But in Medina, in a very short time, he was able to convince the whole people of Medina and then all the nearby Arab groups, and he became their leader, they are almost their savior. The Arabs kept on fighting, and in 711 to 718, they crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and conquered parts of Spain. You think of that, going all the way from Middle East to, Spain. Basically, they were to get the whole Spain. God in His providence has stopped. Otherwise, basically the whole Europe would have been Muslims. But God stopped it. The farther from Spain, crossing the Pyrenees and went all the way to Gaul, which was under the Franks for 200 years. The Islamic emblem of the crescent was now flying all across Arabian, Asia Minor, Europe, Africa and Asia. A very continent basically was, the crescent was, flag was, flying. You think of that, the success of the man. What attracted people to Islam? Not the teachings, not the teaching. These people were, the Arabs didn't have a leader actually. They were nomadic people, they were pirates and all that. They didn't have a leader. In Muhammad they saw a savior, and he could influence them about the story of Gabriel appearing and Allah sending them this and that and all those story. These were uneducated people and they were big fighters. The children of Ishmael, the Lord said that you will live by your sword, with your sword. So they knew how to handle the sword, and their religion spread by sword, and they used it. The people of the conquered places had no choice but to convert to Islam. Once the Islamic religion converted, the capture a place, country or city, whatever is, they have no option but either to die or to become an Islam. That's always their way. Even to this day, that's their way. If you happen to go to Islamic countries, they will give you 5 years to study Quran and become a Muslim. If you are not convinced, you can leave the place. Now most of them permit you to leave the place. If not, your life is in danger. In 496, the king of the Franks, that is Clovis, was converted to Christianity. Now to resist the Islam, the Franks came forward. Charles, the king of the Franks, gave a call to all Franks to come forward, take arms against the Muslims. A great Christian army under the command of Charles met the countless Muslim host in the plain of Tours in the year 732. That was a big battle, the Islamic army and the want to call it the Christian army? Yes, the Christian army were face to face. For 7 days, the two armies faced each other without fighting. Neither side dared to begin the attack. Everybody was scared because both army was very large. At last, on a Saturday in October, the battle was formed. The Arabs were not defeated by anybody until now. They have never tasted defeat. So it is an army that has never tasted defeat, so they are now fighting. So they were all encouraged and they were all spirited because they said that Allah has given us victory so far. So this battle is very key. If we win this battle, that means the whole Europe is under us. So they fought with all their energy. Yes, they fought with all their energy. However, it was not easy to defeat the Frankish army. They were tough people. When night fell, both sides returned to their tents, extremely tired. Literally, heaps of dead people were there. So, tens of thousands of people on both sides were killed. The next morning, again the battle was to be taken up. And those days they didn't have bombs and guns and all that like this. So, it was face-to-face sword fight and, spears and all that sort of fight. So it's a face-to-face fight. But the Charles got news that the Arabs are having ambush, So early morning he got up and he sent groups of soldiers to go and find out where these people are hiding. The interesting thing is they searched for parties, they could not find a single Arab soldier anywhere. Anywhere. Instead they got a lot of, loot basically. All they could find were piles and piles of treasures left behind. The Arabs withdrew to Spain. They decided they don't want to fight because they were convinced they will lose it. So actually who won? Neither one. If the Arabs were defeated, it would have been a different story. But they lost some army, the Franks also lost some army, so they just withdrew back. They were looking for another opportunity maybe to come with a greater army. That's the fear, the fierce German Franks saved Western Europe of Christianity. Tours was now the end of Islam empire. They came all the way up to there. The title Martel, M-A-R-T-L, Martel was given to Charles. So she is called Charles Martel. Martel means hammer, or Charles the hammer. Just like hitting with the hammer, he has hit. So history says that the Muslim army, the Arabs, found that they were not fighting against human beings, but they were fighting against a very strong concrete wall. The Frank army was very strong and very fierce. But it is again the providence of God. Maybe the Lord did not allow the battle to continue. Both sides may have been defeated, but probably the Arabs were completely wiped out. If that was the case, but it didn't happen. So those people, they again withdrew back. So the Islamic conquest has done much damage to Christianity, very much damage. So even though Islam was stopped further spread, they have already weakened the church. One area of great loss was the mission field. Christianity lost the mission field. Most of the mission work was done, in the areas that were basically the Arabs. That's where the Christians will go and do the work. The whole Persia became Islamic. So no more possibility there. And Europe was now surrounded by Arabs or heathen nations which are against Christianity. So the church has found that the growth of the church is greatly hindered. Because church grew by missions. Christianity never advanced by war. Christianity fought war only to conserve what they have won through, mission work. Christianity never advanced, never conquered areas by war. It's Islam which conquered areas by war, but Christianity never. So, but now Christianity does not have much places to go and do, mission work. Therefore, the growth of Christianity was very much hindered. So that was one of the great consequences that we have paid for that war. The church itself is sadly torn. Syria, Palestine, Egypt, North Africa were taken away from Christians by the Arabs. All those places were taken away. Not in this war, but so those were the strongholds of Christianity, but now they became the strongholds of Islam. Spain was a Christian land, but most of the Spain was lost. Not the whole Spain was lost. So Islam has made great advancement. One of the reasons why Islam advanced like this is because of the superstitious beliefs that were among Christians. For example, Trinity, most of the Christians believed that the Trinity was Joseph, Mary and Jesus Christ. Those days. There was no teaching of the Word of God. So, Muslims will go and ask, they will have, some of them had the pictures of the Holy Family. This is the Trinity. Who is the Father? Joseph. The Son and Mother. And so, it was very, very easy for the Muslims to convince some people that this cannot be God. Joseph and Mary cannot be God, And so that was, of course, most of the convictions came by the sword. So they will take it and burn it and convert people. Palestine, the cradle of Christianity, is lost to Islam. Jerusalem, the holy city, is lost. It became in the hands of them. Bethlehem, where the great scholar Jerome was, that was lost to Islam. Antioch in Syria is taken away. Alexandria in Egypt, a great Christian center, was taken away. Men like Clement, Origen, Athanasius, they were all in Carthage, North Africa. They were all taken away by Muslims. So basically speaking, Christians lost, a whole lot of territory to Islam. Whole lot of territory to Islam. Isn't it sad that the truth failed? The reason is because truth was not held truthfully. When truth is not held truthfully, it's worse than lie. That's the way it is. You believe in Trinity, but explain Trinity as Joseph, Mary and Jesus. What Trinity is that? So all that sorts of, idol worship was there all the way, and Christianity with the Constantine, it was just paganism baptized. Therefore, there was no genuineness of Christianity. Actually, those people didn't care whether they were in Islam or in Christianity. Many of them, for them, survival. That's all. It does not matter. They were not religious people necessarily. They became more religious when Islam came, because Islam required them by their law to pray 5 times. Christianity did not require them to pray 5 times, whenever you want. So actually they became more devoted people only after Islam came. So this is a problem. That's happening even now. It's very difficult to convert an Orthodox Christian to any other religion. Very difficult. But it's very easy to convert somebody who does not know anything about Christianity but claims to be a Christian. Very easy, because they don't know anything. You ask them, why are you a Christian? I don't know. I'm born one like that. That's their answer. They don't know. Who is God? I guess Jesus is God, or Jehovah is God. They are not. Most of the people in Christendom I'm talking about. I'm not talking about our young people. Christendom, you take them, you ask them some just basics, 10 basic questions, quizzes. Probably they will miss all 10. The Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, made great advancement. Their method was very simple. How many God? One God. Okay, that's true. That's what I also believe. Now, who is that God? Christian is confused. Is Father God? Yes. Jesus Christ is God? Yes. Holy Spirit is God? Yes. So how many gods are there? So the A Christian is confused. So he will say that Father, Son, Holy Spirit, three, right? That's wrong. This is what Roman Catholic Church taught. The Bible does not teach that. The Bible says, listen, O Israel, your Lord God is one God. That is Jehovah. So Jesus cannot be God, right? Only one God. So they are already converted. They are already converted. Because the foundation is shaken. The foundation is shaken. So this is happening. Christians don't have the answer. Because Christianity became a ritualistic religion. It became a sacramentarian religion. Faith is not, you baptize a little infant, 8 days old, and as he grow up, you already tell that you are a Christian, you have already been baptized. But I can remember, you don't have to remember. You can go and check at the church directory. It's your name is there. Okay, so I'm a Christian. Yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah. So what do I do? But this is a sort of, So it's a great danger to have our children not thoroughly indoctrinated in the truths of the Bible. Because when they go to the secular campuses and secular religion in a world where there is pluralism, different religions, their foundations are getting shaken because questions will be fired at them by people. What do you mean? What do you mean? Then they come all confused and they will say that I don't know what to believe. I really don't know what to believe. What is the truth? Who is God? This sort of thing. See, when it is pampered in our situations, it's easy for them, Because the faith is pampered, the faith is not tested. We need to expose them to testing grounds so that what they believe, they really believe. Paul Little has written the book, What You Believe and Why You Believe. It's not enough to know what I believe, but I need to know why I believe them. If somebody questions why you believe that, if I don't have answer, then my faith does not. So the Islamic people, very interestingly, their religion is ritualistic. They don't necessarily teach about their religion as much as they teach against other religions. See that? Their approach. They will teach why Christianity is wrong. Because even if he does not become a good Muslim, he will not move to Christianity because from childhood on he has been taught to know that Christianity is wrong, Bible is corrupted, therefore he will never turn to this one. Of course, a Muslim will not become a Hindu because idol worship and all those things. So they know that only place the Muslim can go is Christian. He will never become a Jew because he cannot never become a Jew as such. So he will not go there. So there is a traditional hatred there, so they won't. So against Christianity they do that. They have very well brainwashed their children to know that never touch Bible. If you happen to touch Bible, you go take soap, wash your hand, and then only you will come. Because you have touched a corrupted book. The true book is only Quran, not the Bible. So this very little children, is taught. But that's not the way we teach our children. We don't teach anything. That's the problem. We don't teach necessarily. We only teach them like catechism, Who is God? Da 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 da. How many gods? Da 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 da. That's where we start, but we need to go further. So what happened when Islam, they came almost after 700 years after Christianity came, 600 some years after Christianity came, but so easily they have conquered Christians. The true religion was swallowed up by the false religion. Isn't that sad? It's very, very sad. So Palestine, the cradle of Christianity, that's where you expected to have some resistance, some intellectual resistance. But in neither intellectually nor physically, mentally, there was no resistance. The whole Palestine, they got it. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Syria and Palestine and Egypt to this day remain Islamic. Christian missions in all those lands are basically closed down forever. Even in Egypt, though there is a Coptic church, I don't know what percentage of Egyptians are Christians, maybe a very minority like in India, they cannot do very much at all. In North Africa, the church remained for hundreds of years in total desolation. Only for the past 100 plus years, Christian testimony is reintroduced through colonization. The British and the other Christian countries, they begin to move to all over the world for their business enterprises. And when they have gone, of course, they had the power also. So these, people were put under control. And then in North Africa and other places, Christianity was reintroduced. Now the struggle is going on, like Nigeria, for example. The northern part of Nigeria is all Muslims and southern part is Christian. They are killing each other. Christians, of course, are not necessarily killers and therefore they are suffering. The colonization is the only thing that brought back this. So today, even today Africa is open for mission work, but where Islam is still remaining, not much work could be done. It took some 800 years to retake Spanish world. In 1492, crescent was replaced by cross in Spain. However, we must admit that the salt of Christianity in that part of Europe, which was under Islam for a while, has lost its, its saltiness. Christianity, you go to Europe, it's true, they have recaptured it, for namesake. But Christianity is really lost. The real Christianity is lost. You go and count the born-again Christians there, basically none. Though it's a Roman Catholic Church and all that has come back. Eastern Europe became very formal, and lost all interest in true Christianity. Church was trodden down under the feet of Islam. So that is through the 700s, it's really bad, really bad. Islam has completely wiped out Christianity in a large area. Just one person, Muhammad, was born. He had no acceptance among his own tribal people, but yet he ran away for life, and in a short time he came back and he got the whole Palestine and in a lot of other places all around. So what we will say that? Today, a lot of Americans, blacks in America, blacks are being converted to Islam. It's not because of the Islamic faith or anything, because of the racial hatred that exists still between the blacks and the white. Therefore, the blacks doesn't want the God of the white people. That's what they say, that they don't want the God of the white people. Christ is a white God for them, so they wanted to move. But not everybody, but those who become Muslim, they say that in Islam they get better treatment, but I don't know whether that's true. It may be true, false Christianity always practiced, discriminations, definitely. Only true Christianity can love everybody equally. Yes. So that problem is there. We face that problem in India also, in any other country. You go to any other country. I don't know there is any country in the world where, this sort of linguistic or racial, that sort of discrimination is not there. But the good thing is a lot of blacks who become Muslims in America are returning to Christian fold because they have found that the grass was not that green on the other side of the fence. They thought that it was, but it was not. The Muslims are killing the Muslims now everywhere, in every country, whether it is Pakistan, whether it is Iraq, whether it is Syria, whether it is Lebanon. You go to any places, the Muslims are killing Muslims. The extremists, Well, that's the price they are paying because, Their religion advanced through with the help of sword, so their religion has to suffer also by the help of sword. Now the Europe, we come back to the Roman Empire, the German tribes, there was a German tribe known as the Lombards. Parts of Italy in 568. The place called Po Valley, Po Valley in the northern parts of Italy was taken away by the Lombards. Lombards actually mean long beards. That's when long beards, that's the meaning, Lombards, long beards. They grew long beards. They were very severe men, very severe, very strong, very severe men. The rest of Italy continued as part of the Roman Empire, but a good part was under these people. The Lombards were converted to Christianity, but to Arianism. That was the sad part. They were converted to Christianity, but not the true Christianity. They were converted to Arianism. For this reason, they had no reservation in coming and fighting with, the rest of the Christians. The Western Empire was basically gone, so they wanted to come and attack the Eastern Empire now. So the Lombards, though they were converted, they were not converted to Orthodox Christianity initially. Later they were won to Orthodox faith by the Nicene Creed. Pope Gregory I, in order to win their support, bestowed upon their king the crown which contained one of the nails that nailed Jesus Christ on the cross. There was a special favor, because the holy relics, especially if it belonged to Jesus Christ, then that nail has to be particularly very dear. So Pope Gregory wanted to win these people. He thought about how to win. They are Arians now, but they were now slowly converted, and so he gave their king a crown, which crown he said contains one of the nails. The Franks were used by Pope to neutralize the Lombards. The Franks are other people in Germany, So the Germans are city-states. We have to understand, not the modern Germany. Of course, the modern Germany has East Germany and West Germany. That was divided after the Second World War between the communists and the others. But now it is one Germany again. But before that, Germany was many, many small states like India. So the Franks were one group, Lombards were another group. So the Franks were used by Pope to neutralize Lombards, and popes were very, very cunning people. They wanted to, because the attack always came from Germany now. Germany was frequently attacking the Roman Empire. So somehow Germany has to be neutralized. Otherwise, Pope knows that it's going to be dangerous. So how to do? So he wanted the friendship of Franks. So the emperor in Constantinople was not in a position to protect the Pope due to different reasons, mainly the distance, because Constantinople and Rome are very far away. Pope is in Rome. So these people are attacking. And from Constantinople, the emperor cannot come and always help. The Western Europe is completely weakened and gone, so they cannot have no defense. So the defense has to come from anywhere else. So instead of having the defense, why don't befriend the enemy itself? That was what a Pope decides. So he, he wanted to befriend the Franks against the Lombards. So there was another problem also. The Arabs were still attacking. They were attacking. Because we went back to the 700s. So Pope had to return to the Franks for help. Said that, the Lombards and the Arabs. You have to help. So what happened? We have noted earlier that in 496, the Frankish king Clovis was converted to Christianity. We mentioned last time. Frank also saved Europe from Islam. The alliance of the church with the Frank was now a necessity, more for Pope and Christianity than for the Franks. So Clovis was a powerful king, but the later kings of the Franks were all weak. Charles Martel was not a king, but he was a general of the Frank army. He was made the king. The son of Charles Martel was Pepin the Short. That was his name. I think he was short, so he was called Pepin the Short. He also obtained the title of general from his father. But he was not satisfied by that title. He wanted to be the king. So what did he do? He went and, defeated the king, and he became the king. Now he is not satisfied. Pepin was not satisfied the fact that he is now the king there of the Franks, but he wants Pope to recognize him as the king. So he came. He deposed the last king of Clove, and he himself put on him the throne, the crown, and he came to approach the Pope Zacharias. He was a pope there for approval. Pope was very cunning. He was looking for an occasion to gain, friendship with the Franks, because the Arabs started attacking. So he needed some help. So Pope said it was a right for the empire to have a powerful king. Pope crowned him in 751 as the king of Franks. So he became now the king. Pope gained much mileage. Pope's approval has become necessary for anyone to be king now. That pattern is established right there by Pepin. And now that became a tradition. If anyone in Europe has to be a king, he must come to Pope, and the Pope has to crown him. So see, the Pope's position exalted. Pope is not the king, but he is the kingmaker now. Pope is the kingmaker now. So from this moment on, developed this system. But it also developed a great struggle between papacy and empires. It's true that, whoever become the emperor or whoever become the king needed the support and the approval of the Pope, but once they get it, they are not that sympathetic, because Pope expects them to listen to them. And Pope will constantly be asking for money also, and for other favors. So these people wanted the approval, but they didn't want it. Interference. So there was always a struggle between papacy and the empire. The history of the Middle Ages is a story of this conflict actually. We will come to that. Pope becomes the temporal ruler very soon. As a thank you for making Pepin the emperor, Pope asked him to defeat the Lombards so that, one section will be gone. So what, Pepin went with his army. He marched to Italy and fought against the Lombards and defeated them. He took the territory of Lombards in Italy and gave it to Pope as a present. So Pope became the ruler of that part of Italy. It is now that state of the church. Pope now has ecclesiastical rights as well as political right, because he has a state under him. The popes continued to hold this temporal rulership till 1870, when the new kingdom of Italy was established, and they have taken back, So he enjoyed it. Now we know that Vatican, of course, is a state of Vatican. It's a separate, place where the Pope rules over it. So this kind of conflicts going. You are eliminating, like in a chess. You are eliminating one with the other one, and so the Lombards are. Pepin was used to fight against the Lombards and defeated them. So he is more free. You will think that yes, but Charles became a very, very powerful king. Pepin died in 768. He had two sons. One is called Carloman, the other is again called Charles. Carloman died in 771, very shortly, in 3 years after Pepin died. Then Charles ruled alone, and his a very powerful king. He later taken the title Charles, he changed it to Charlemagne. Yes. So in history, Charlemagne is a big one. So on Christmas Day, 800, Charles came to Rome for prayer. He didn't come to Pope, but he was praying in St. Peter's Church in Rome. So somebody told the Pope that, Charles is praying there. Pope immediately rode up to him and placed upon him the imperial crown. And Pope said that, by God's providence, you are appointed the emperor of the Roman Empire. What a great Pope was very, very, very sharp, very sharp. Of course, Charles only went there for prayer, because St. Peter's Church is where the most important place for their faith. But he seems right. It seemed right for the Pope to make Charles the emperor, because Charles stood for the same ideals that Pope stood for. See, we need to understand that at this time the Roman Empire was in a mess. The Western Empire is gone. There was no law and order. There was no education. Civilization and culture was at its lowest. And Christianity was not in a shape at all. But this Charlemagne, he stood for all these things. He wanted his empire to be very systematically ruled. So he wanted to emphasize law and order. And also he wanted his people to be civilized, because these were basically barbarians, they were living the way they want. They only believed in one power, the power of the sword. They didn't care for education, they didn't care for anything. Actually, Charlemagne himself could not read or write. He never went to school. These people, they had no respect for civilization. They were not Greeks. They were barbarians. That's the sort of people. So Charlemagne said that, yes, I want law and order. I want civilization and culture, and my religion is Christianity. I want the world to be Christian. Pope said, right on. I want an emperor exactly like that. This was the man that I was looking for, and God has brought you for the right time. So in the providence of God, you are crowned the emperor, not a prince. So the Roman Empire, basically small and disorganized, was in a chaos. The Lombards and the others attacked, no one to enforce law. So Pope found in Charles a great deliverer of Rome. Charles' name was changed to Charlemagne, which means Charles the Great. Charlemagne fought for the above three values all his life. He made laws powerful, and violation was punished. He fostered civilization by promoting schools throughout his kingdom. The barbarians, who made up a large section of the people, did not believe in learning. Actually, when Charlemagne started schooling, they laughed. They buy some sword and give everybody. Why this pen and pencil and book? Charlemagne started a school in his palace also, and he became a student there. He learned to read and write, setting an example for the people. It is said that he could never hold a pen in his hand, because by continuously using the sword, his fingers will come only up to there. It won't go any further to hold. It can go like this, but it will come only there, because he was always holding the sword, So he said, history says he never could hold a pen in his hand. Isn't that terrible when you think about that? It is. His fingers could never bend enough, as they have held a weighty sword all his life. Yes, Charlemagne was a great man. But Charlemagne, all his life, till his death, he was a man of war. He was a man of war, because enemies were all around. Charlemagne was engaged in war upon war all his life. He fought the Lombards and ended their kingdom by 777. And he set the crown of their king on his head. Next, he began fought to liberate Spain from Arabs. He pushed them to the Ebro River, You know how in the Sofia, in the church at Sofia, that's where the last battle was fought with the Arabs, and Charlemagne won. The Arabs never advanced an inch. But of course they got a lot of territory, all over. But Charlemagne was a very strong, It's very interesting that when the leadership of a nation is weak, the nation is weak. It does not really matter how educated the people are, how rich the people are. If the leader is not strong, that is true about church also. That is true about home also, right? If the head of the home, the father, if that father is a strong person, then the home is a strong home. If the father is weak, the home is weak. The church also, if the leadership of the church is strong, then the church is strong. If the leadership is weak, the church is weak. And the nation also. In any society, that's a standard rule. So when Charlemagne came, he was a very strong ruler. Leaving this for a moment, in Kerala, that was where the Travancore was very strong. The state of Travancore was always strong because the kings of Travancore were young people. In their very early 30s and 40s they became king. But the Cochin state was always weak. The Samudri from Calicut was always coming and taking away all the portions of. The reason was the king of Cochin became a king when the 90s and 95, 98 old. They had the system where the Marivakatayam system, the oldest man in that system, he will be 95 and the other one died, so he became king. In 2 years he will die. So the king of Kerala gave an advice that you stop this system, make an young man the king. So Shaktan Tamburan was made king on the advice of the king of Travancore. When Shaktan came, he regained all the territory back from the king of Calicut, what is Samudri, He has taken all this back. See, the strength of leadership, history says, wherever it is, France was the strongest under Napoleon. Napoleon was a strong leader. Yes. Germany was the strongest under Hitler. Hitler was a bad man because it was bad leadership. But Germany almost conquered the whole world, right? Germany, if Americans did not drop that bomb, honestly, Germany would die because Germany was on the point of making bomb. In just a few months they would have made the bomb, but they have dropped it over England and Germany and England and America and France and all that. So, the strong leadership is always needed. Of course, if the leader is not a good man, then the people will go the bad way. So, the emphasizing strong leadership is very, very important. I think the churches suffer a lot today because many of the denominations today don't have strong leadership. We hear in the church history about strong leaders. But who is the strongest leader in the whole? I'm talking about the church as a whole. I'm not talking about any denomination. What name comes stand out? In the past you had hundreds of names you can say that about great theologians, whether it is Martin Luther or John Calvin or, you talk about, hundreds of them. You can call them great missionary people, And I think that that line has come and somehow there is a very great vacuum. Today there is not one man whom the world could point out, look at this man, he is the leader of the Christendom today. There's no man like that. Billy Graham was kind of the last man, I will say that, who was looked up by everybody, who had acceptability and respect among kings and prime ministers and presidents and everybody. And he is old man, and now who is there? There's nobody. The local groups may have X and Y said here and there, but his influence is very much limited. So Christendom always needed strong leadership, Man who is fundamentalist, man who is an evangelical, man who believes in the Bible, man who could give the leadership, Such people we always needed. We don't have such people there. And I think that Francis Schaeffer was probably the last such a leader, I could say that to some extent he was respected, at least as an evangelical conservative man he was. But now we don't have. So coming back to the history of the church, Charlemagne was a blessing of God. I'm not saying that Charlemagne was a believer or anything, but as far as Christendom was concerned, So he fought with, different people. Wherever he went, he won. He fought with the Saxons also. They were a large, powerful Germanic tribe who occupied North Germany. After many wars, Charlemagne defeated the Saxons. He added the territory to his domain and forced them at the point of the sword to become Christians. So all Saxons became Christians. Yes. Isn't that nice? People ask the question, is that the way to make Christians? I say, no, that's not the way to make Christians. But, if you make it if that's the only way you can make Christians, that's not the way to make Christians, I admit. But if that's the only way to make Christians, what will you do? Mass conversions definitely have its own problems. Yes. Now it is what? Ghar wapasi, eh? Wapasi. Yeah, but it's going to have its repercussions very soon. Honestly, watch out. They have started something. It is like they're breaking a great, dam. The water is going to flow, and they cannot stop it. So he fought with the Saxons and he went there. Now, when Charlemagne died in 814, there were three big empires in the world. Three big empires. The oldest was the weakest, the Eastern Europe, Roman Empire. That was the oldest, that was the weakest.
When was Charlemagne crowned?
When was Charlemagne crowned? Okay, Charlemagne was crowned on Christmas Day 800. Charles was kneeling in St. Peter's Church in Rome. That's when the Pope came and crowned him. So when he died from 800 to 814, not very much, but in that small period of time he fought many battles and he won them all. And there were, at his death, three major empires. The oldest, the Eastern Roman Empire, with Constantinople as the headquarters. And it basically embraced all the Balkans, the Asia Minor and South Italy. Only that much portion it had. Then we have the largest of the empire was the Muslim Empire, which stretched from Persia, Syria, Palestine, all North Africa, all the way up to the Ebro River in Europe. That's a very large. Thirdly, the youngest and the strongest of three was the empire of Charlemagne. At his death, it consisted northern Italy, and northeast Spain, all of France, Belgium, Netherlands, a large part of Germany and Austria. It was a very large portion, Charlemagne has got. So after the fall of the Roman Empire, it is only now that such a large area is under one emperor. Charlemagne is considered the greatest ruler between Justinian and Charles V. He was indeed a great. Charlemagne's favorite book, what was? Augustine's City of God. And he believed that city was the empire he has established. No wonder he loved it, Yeah, he definitely loved it. Yes. But Charlemagne definitely, his father Pepin, by giving some of the lands that he has conquered from Lombards, donating them to Pope, laid the foundation for the idea of a state of the church. He made Pope a temporal ruler. Charlemagne freed the popes from the fear of the Lombards, and he brought order in his kingdom. He expelled the Muslims from the Western Europe. He brought the heathen Saxons under Christianity. He also promoted learning and culture. The Pope, by crowning Charlemagne as emperor, restored the Western Roman Empire, but doing this one, a long tradition that Pope will decide who will be the emperor. That was also there. But today's mistake become tomorrow's patent. That happened, They did all these things out of necessity. The Pope did not crown him because he loved Charlemagne. Oh no, that's not the reason. Pope needed Charlemagne, a strong man. Otherwise the Arabs will take it away. Or the Lombards will take it away. So he needed him. And Charlemagne needed that approval. Because the Christian people will respect if he can say that Pope approved my emperorship. So if Pope does not approve it, then he is always in fear, because the popes could manipulate people, because they are Christians. Pope could tell them that, hey boys, Charlemagne is going too far, you need to do something. And they will do anything if the Pope will say. So to have the confidence of Pope was Charlemagne's necessity. To have Charlemagne was Pope's necessity. So it served both, but for Christianity, for the history, it established a bad precedent. Pope, is a kingmaker. Pope is the kingmaker. And this has gone so bad that in later years, as we study some history, some of the kings have to come and stand outside the palace of the Pope in the winter, in the snow, in the winter of December and January, in the months where they have to stand barefoot for a whole night just to have an appointment with Pope. So that he can continue as a king there. That sort of. So there are problems there. Anyway, that's the story that, how Christianity and Islam and all. Now we come to from 461 AD to 1073, where the church and the development of the papacy, that's a major development. I think before coming to that, we need to have a little review of the church organization. We know the biblical organization of the church is what? It's a three-tier organization. All believers or all saints, some elders and some deacons. This is the only church organization the Bible teaches. The missionaries and the pastors, they are not in the church. They are for the reaching out the world, The church administration is only these three. The elders, deacons and believers. There is nothing. But because of a number of developments, as we have pointed out few weeks back, these developments have forced them to do something that is different. Of course, men always loves authority and wanted to rule over others. People don't like to be sharing authority and treated equals. Who wants to be treated equals? Somehow you wanted to pull down somebody and climb up there. That's it. That's a temptation everybody is having. Unless you are too spiritual, then of course you will try to rise above, as Jesus said, by becoming others as servants. But after a while you're serving, you will be wondering, how long I have to do this one, Why are you not making me an elder now? I have been washing feet for so long. If you don't make me an elder next week, I'm not going to put the chairs anymore, okay? In other sense, people do certain things, even, washing the feet with the view that after washing so many feet, you expect them to be, recognize the fact that you are a spiritual man, so that you will be made. That's so. But now the problem is, Gnosticism, mundanism and all these things you are attacking, and who will defend? That's a question. When the attack comes, who will? There should be a Charlemagne in the spiritual world, right? So they wanted to create Charlemagnes. That's the bishop. when the wrong doctrines come, when some heretics come, some divisions come, who will stand up? Hey, every church has 3, 4, 5 elders. But those elders stand up, they cannot. They are fighting each other, They are saying, you go, you go, you go, you go. They are saying, you go, you go. There is nobody to go first because everybody is equal. Nobody wants to wet his feet. So they say, you go, brother, you go. So then those who are actually wanted to stand up or wanted authority, they found this an ideal occasion that if I will do something, I can make my position strong. So some of these elders and who wanted to be some of these Diotrephes type of people, they stood up and they said that we are not just equal elder, but as somebody said, all are equal, but some are more equal. So these people said that, yeah, we are equals, but they are less, but I'm more equal, So, I'm number one, So they stood up and eventually, either by this way or that way, these men made the others to accept them as bishops, as leaders, And then there are small churches and big churches. Small churches with 10, 20 people, they are struggling on many issues, but big churches, 2,000, 3,000, they have big income. For example, they have big income, better buildings. And these small churches struggling, so they always look to the big church and they go for their help and all. So, they like it, they will give a little bit, some doll here and there, and then they're required to say that, the Sahab, that's the big metropolis, so they're called the metropolitans, they're called the metropolita, that's the metropolitan. So, over many elders, this church has established big. So, some by different ways they have rose to prominence. Either bishops or patriarchs. Just the Eastern churches have the title patriarchs, and the Western churches had the title bishop, and from there the Pope came. So the Bishop of Rome gradually became the Papa Bishop. There are many reasons for that. Rome being the capital of the Roman Empire, the emperor is there. So the Bishop of Rome has more proximity to the empire, and all these small bishops will be coming to Rome for some benefit. They want a meeting with the emperor on this petition, that petition. So finally the emperor said to the Roman bishop, said, hey, let people come to you. Only issues that you cannot handle, let only those issues come to. And of course the Bishop of Rome made sure that he will solve all issues, so that he is the only one who will get to see the face of the emperor. So he consolidated his position. So, everybody came to him. So the more people came, he finally said that, I am the Papa of bishops, the father of all bishops. So that. He wanted to, they were willing to do anything or say anything, acknowledge anything, because that is the only way they can get some benefit from the emperor. Because only on his recommendation the file will move there, So, so the bishop at Rome became very powerful. By 461, Leo the first, it said that when he died in 461, papacy was well established. Means the position of the Bishop of Rome was well established, that he stood much taller than all the bishops, and they have to come to him. The city of Rome being the imperial capital city, and by the proximity of the bishop to the emperor, became very important. Other bishops needed the help of Roman bishop to gain many favors from the king. So they naturally obliged the Roman bishop. Slowly the Bishop of Rome began to make claims of authority over other bishops. They began to claim that history shows the bishops of Rome to be the final authority to settle matters. They began to use scriptures to support their claim. To Peter was the key of the kingdom given, they said that. So that key was handed over to the bishop at Rome. So he said, I still got the key, mean that authority, People could believe that very much because, that's a place where Peter was, martyred, so naturally the key will be handed over to Linus as the first pope, after the second pope. The first was, of course, Peter. So the historical events also strengthened papacy. The weakening of the Western Empire, the attack of the barbarians. There were the Western Roman Empire was by this time was weakened. The barbarians kept on attacking Rome. Rome and the people at Rome were crying to the emperor. Emperor said, I'm weak. He has no. So it was the time when the Bishop of Rome stood out. He gathered people and he protected the city, defended the city of Rome. And he was a very good negotiator. He negotiated with these barbarians. And these barbarians were eventually brought into Christianity. And barbarians respected the Pope also very much. So the city of Rome was saved. So naturally, the city of Rome now belongs to Pope. There is a poor man called an emperor, but he was saying, thank you, Pope. You saved my crown. You saved my crown. So, Leo I was very, very able man, so he saved the people and almost viewed Savior of Rome. So they begin to respect him instead of the emperor. For him, Leo the First was both the spiritual head and also the secular head. The destruction of Rome by Germanic invaders gave a boost to papal prestige because there is no more emperor. He is gone. So who is there? Only the Pope is there. The Bishop is there. The Bishop of Rome now had the most important offices in all the Western Empire. Pope did something good. The work of missionaries sent from Rome founded many churches among many tribes of Northern Europe. The great Boniface, missionary to Germany, stood very close to Rome. Missionaries were sent to other pagan countries, So what happened as the missionaries went the early days and they established churches here and there all the way to Ireland, England, many places, and all those places, wherever the missionaries came, the missionaries were loyal to Pope. So Pope had basically the authority structure very well spread all over Europe. The Muslim attack upon many important eastern cities like Syria, Palestine, Egypt, etc., removed forever the patriarchs of Antioch, Jerusalem and Alexandria. They were the rivals of the Roman bishop. These patriarchs were the rivals. Now the Muslims have defeated them and therefore these patriarchs have no voice. Either they were killed or they ran away or they became ineffective. So basically what we are saying is that the Pope became a more and more powerful person. He consolidated the power. The Bishop of Carthage in North Africa was also removed by Muslims. Many disasters fell upon the church and the Bishop of Rome was always there to help the people, whether it is epidemics or whatever may be. If the political power was gone, the spiritual power and the political power now confined in one man, the Bishop of Rome, and the Bishop of Rome became a very, very powerful person. In the Eastern Europe, there was no one man like that. There were many patriarchs, they were all equals. But in the Western empire, though the political empire is gone, the whole areas, there were no bishops who was equal to the Bishop of Rome. There was nobody. Nobody even thought of claiming, something. No. Along with that one, to consolidate the position of less material today. To consolidate the position of Pope, around the time of Charlemagne, there appeared a strange document called Donation of Constantine. You heard of it? Donation of Constantine? When Charlemagne was the emperor, they have unearthed a document. This document told that the Emperor Constantine was cured of leprosy by the prayer of Pope Sylvester. Thereupon Constantine, out of gratitude to the Pope, decided to remove his residence to Constantinople. The early name was Byzantium. He changed it to Constantinople. His object in doing this was to liberate the spiritual government of Rome from the political government. On leaving Rome, Constantine is said to have added all offices in the city of Rome and all provinces to be subjected to Pope Sylvester I, added to his successors to the papal throne. He also transferred the city of Rome and all the provinces, districts, and the cities of Italy and of the western region. So according to this document, Constantine bestowed upon popes sovereignty over the whole Western Empire. It is called donation of Constantine. Donation of Constantine. So for a long time, Constantine gave it over to them. See, he moved his capital from Rome to, Constantinople, only to make the Bishop of Rome more free. He should have no interference from even the emperor. Let him be free in Rome because he has cured my leprosy. But this was a fake document. This was a fake document, but everybody Rome was hanging on to this one for a long time. For a long time means for a long time. It was in 1433, In 1433, the cheating was found out. So this was a major document. Even to this day it's a joke. Now no Roman Catholic, no Orthodox, no Protestants, everybody knows this was a fake document. But for a long time the Pope's position was secured by this false document. Now the thing is, these men will go to any extent to consolidate their position. They have no principle. People have no principles. And this sad that even, sometimes I think the so-called evangelicals also, you will find among them, people will do anything. In some times back, a man wanted to become a bishop and then a metropolitan, so there was nobody to ordain him. So he has offered it to one of the bishops of the CSI church a large amount of money, and that man ordained him. Then he was excommunicated by the church, but he said, no problem, I got enough money for my life. See, and interestingly, that man is a metropolitan now. That's a title he owns. So, I sat there and laughed and said that, you have nobody to make you a bishop, only because you have to be ordained by somebody. So, found somebody. What's the reward? So much money. So much lakhs of money. Take it, ordain me. He knew that he will be excommunicated by the church because church did not give him the permission. But once the hands of a bishop is laid and ordained, it cannot be taken back. See, that's a that's a rule. See, the priest commit whatever sin, the priesthood is never taken away. Even you can excommunicate a priest, but you cannot take the robe away from the priest. The priesthood is permanent. Once you give it, it's given. So by crooks or by hooks, you get it, it's yours. What a tragedy, isn't it? When you think about it, what a tragedy. So this a whole donation of Constantine, for a long time, everybody talked about it, and that was a talk, and that way, Constantine before, his death, he has given over to the entire Western Roman Empire to Pope, Bishop of Rome. We are not claiming it, we got it by right, So that was a sort of. Then somewhere around the middle of the 9th century appeared another mysterious document. It is called Isidorian Decretals. Isidorian, Isidorian, Isidorian Decretal, Decretals. It is called so because these decretals were collected by a man called Isidore of Seville. This document consists of decisions of popes and councils from Clement of Rome to the in the first century to Gregory II in the 8th century. So this is kind of all the minutes, that are very nicely written down. According to this document, bishops could appeal directly to Pope, and that bishops and popes are not subject to the control of any government. The donation of Constantine was also included in this. This also said that Constantine has donated. Well, with these two great documents, the Roman Catholic Church, claimed that this is the church. The church. So when Protestants came, where do they have? Do they have a document like that? No, they don't have a document like that. Of course, Martin Luther didn't think of writing a donation of some other emperor, So he didn't have any document. But with these two documents, basically they could do anything. One document give away the whole Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, to the Bishop of Rome. And the other document liberated the popes and bishops everywhere, all over the world, from the control of the secular government. The bishops exercise a great amount of power. I had never been a part of the Roman Catholic Church, so, in my life, so I don't know actually how much power these priests and bishops have, but people in the Roman Catholic Church have told me that, even the priest, tremendous amount of power. One man told me that the priest in their church used to take a cane and beat people, Even 60, 70-year-old people were beaten by them for disobeying or for doing something wrong. They had that sort of power. Nobody would dare to beat them back. Nobody. Unless you are, somebody who doesn't respect them.
I studied in a Catholic school. I studied in a Catholic school. The father there had killed 2 boys. He pushed them into the well. No one could do anything.
They have the power. Of course, the children jumped into the well, right? The postmortem report says that, accidentally they have fell into the well. So, pushed his interpretation. That's the sort of thing. So this is actually, terrible, very, very much terrible. With these two documents, the Roman Catholic power has established, and they have amassed properties, and they have annexed, areas and buildings, and they could punish people. Even they could do anything they want. Especially when the ruling government is a Roman Catholic government that's respect and accept the authority of the bishop and the church, then any action done by the church will not be questioned or entertained by the authority. And even in other places, for example, you go to Goa, the story of Goa, history of Goa, you have to study that. Goa in whole India was a place where, it was the torturing chamber for India. Yes. In some of those monasteries there were basements where, people who either opposed or Protestants, they were taken all the way to Goa, where they were tortured even to the point of death. That's history. That's history. Well, who will question them? Because Portuguese were ruling Goa. So the administration is there, so who is going to question them? Nobody can question them. But even today, in places where, Rome has complete or Catholics have complete control, you dare not to distribute a tract there. You dare not to distribute a tract there. You will feel. In India, of course, Kerala Pala is the Rome of India, they say that. When I decided to go to Pala for, my work, and everybody who loved me, and even people who hated me, they advised, don't go there. Said, they told me, don't go there. It's a dangerous place. And it was a dangerous place, indeed, Of course, it was not as dangerous as it used to be when I reached there, but still dangerous enough. Still dangerous enough. And that place was, it was a dark place. It was dark in every way. The Roman Catholic Church was, they could do anything they want. Anything they want. We were conducting a meeting there in the town, and we covered the entire town with loudspeakers. Every poster had a loudspeaker. One right before the bishop's house also. So halfway the meeting was going on, message was going on. The circle inspector came and was so angry and said, "Shut it up." We thought, what was? We had permission to shut it up. So we had to shut it up because, he came in a whole jeep full of people and said, shut it up, And we asked him, what's wrong? We got permission and all. He said that, well, you got permission. I know you have the right to say it, but that man there, that man there, the bishop, asked us to come and stop it. So he didn't like it. He said there that he had no business of interfering in this one, but I have to obey it. Why? Because if I don't obey, I'll be transferred tomorrow. The power, then we felt the power, felt the power. We were going to conduct a camp there, and we, of course, we made arrangements with the hotel for supplying food and all and everything. Right the night before 9 o'clock, we went just to confirm it, and the hotel man laughed and said that, no, we will not supply food. Why? Because Bishop Cole said, no, do it. Next morning people were coming. Where will you go? About 400 people also came, the first time, and where will you go? I'm very new in the city, and there is, well, by God's grace we did this and managed it. But the thing is, if the bishop call and say that no, that means no. I rented a house. The owner of the house was classmate of the bishop there. So he called him, said, I want you to evict that man immediately. But that owner was, had the guts to say that it's none of your business. He said that it's my house, I decide whom I will give. So I stayed there 7 years. And not only I stayed there 7 years, for another 7 years that building was in my hand, because church was meeting there. Yeah, everybody said, remove. He said, no. He said, you can interfere only in spiritual matters. This is my personal matter. So, such bold people you won't find, very many places. He was bold enough. Maybe for them he was too bold, but for me he was. Yes, he came and told me that. After coming there, I was called by the bishop, and this is what he called them, and I told him at his face that you mind your own business. I said, you stay here. Nobody can evict. So the power, I felt the power of the Roman Catholic Church was there. Everywhere it was there. I have printed 10,000 tracts. 1 week after I reached there, that was the Saint Alphonsus festival. There's a saint there. And the title of my tract is The False Teachings of Roman Catholic Church and Answers to Them from the POC Bible. That's their Bible, the Catholic Bible. 10,000 I distributed. I didn't know that these people were that bad, to be honest. If I knew it in advance, I knew they were bad, but if I knew they were this bad, I would not have done it. I'm not a man of that courage. Anyway, I did it and nobody did anything to me. And I was surprised, nobody did. But of course the next Sunday the bishop's letter was read everywhere in all the churches in the diocese of Palai that a man has come like this and that nobody should receive him in home. വീട്ടിൽ വന്നാൽ ചൂലെടുത്ത് അടിച്ച് വന്ന സ്ഥലത്ത് എത്തിക്കണം. That is, take the broom and beat him all the way back to his home. But I got a card, from one of the men, Joseph Pulikunden, he sent a card and said that I would like to meet you immediately. Please, can you come to my office? So I went to his office and he gave me, I said that I really appreciate you were putting bombs in Vatican City. How you dare to do that, And he gave me all support. He said, I'm behind you, you keep doing it. Yeah, he was a rebel Catholic. Yes, he was a rebel Catholic. He was thrown out of their college, he was in Pulikunda, he was professor in Calicut, Devari College. From there he was, and so he was a rebel Catholic. And
He also translated Bible.
Yes, he had this Hosanna Bible by him,
What's his name?
Joseph Pulikunden. Pulikunden is his house name actually, Joseph Pulikunden. So, oh no, Ausapajan is in Wayanad. Yes, Ausapajan was not a believer at that time. Ausapajan came Ausapajan became a believer around that time. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Joseph Pulikunden was a very tall figure.
Yeah, he was a very influential figure, very powerful, rich, and of course, I had good friendship with him, Anyway, that's another story. So, this sort of thing, they were very, very powerful people, very powerful people. It was very difficult to operate in that field. But we went every home, few people received us, very few people. But I tell you honestly, I baptized some 30 plus good Roman Catholic men, not children, who are all, thorough Roman Catholics first year in the city of Palai. The Lord did it, I did it. The question came where the first baptism will be. So, it was a question. There was a Pentecostal man there, so I went and asked him, he was a businessman, he said, if you had to baptize, don't baptize in Palai, take them to Kottayam somewhere. This will be very dangerous. Nobody has dared to do it. And I always was tempted to take them to Kottayam, but these 36 people said, no, only in Palai, we want to be baptized. Man, when they said that, I had to, I said, whatever comes, we are not going to run away. This is our place, we are going to be baptized there. And man, with fear and trembling, I got into the water. And interestingly, as I was baptized, one person, there comes a man in a boat, in a small, what do you call it, canoe, He came in and with the oars and all that, and he wanted to beat up and saying that, what are you doing it? There were so many people who were watching. They encountered with him, said, what's your business? What business you have? They are doing whatever their religion, you mind your own business. So because of the majority of the people who was against them, he ran away. and we comfortably done the baptism also. And very, very interesting, you know.
So where? In the river?
In the river. The river. It's a public river. Meenachila, yes. Interestingly. Yeah.